Welcome to the WiseTake DFS podcast, sponsored by the hottest team in the DFS industry, Daily Roto Sharks. So if you want to be prepared for your DFS slates every night, you need to join the hashtag Sheet Squad movement. Check it out at dailyrotosharks.com now. I am your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I'm joined here by two of my guys, our WiseTake guys, two Daily Roto Sharks contributors. We got Matt Amon, writer of Matt's Stacks, only over on Daily Roto Sharks. You can find him on Twitter at MattAmon123. And of course, you can see we're also joined by Steve Hillman, better known as Fuego Steve. You can catch his value plays. He pretty much writes what he feels like writing. That's kind of what Fuego does. And you can find his articles also on Daily Roto Sharks. You can find him on Twitter at Fuego_Steve. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight with take 2 of the live stream?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. How you doing?
I'm doing good, and I'm doing a lot better because the stream looks like it's actually healthy. So whatever setting I switched, apparently it worked. So I'm doing a lot better now.
There you go. Well, remember what that setting was for next time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that setting is not getting touched. I can tell you that.
Yeah, someone in the chat says I'm looking mad. No, I'm very happy. I just won $1,000 and came in first in a late night GPP. So I'm much better than the last time we recorded. Let's put it that way.
Oh my gosh, dude, that was brutal, man. And like, not to bring up harsh memories, man, but like, you know, I'm gonna be honest. It did make for, you know, entertaining TV, if you will. But man, that was brutal, dude. That was so tough to watch. That was just heartbreaking.
You gotta have thick skin in DFS, especially in qualifiers. It's not the first time I've lost a queue late. Matt, you're just glad you were off that night.
Yeah. I was actually on the other side rooting for Danny Valencia because I didn't know who you were anti-sweating, because I had some Seattle stacks in the late night turbo that it actually helped me like $100.
Yeah. So
if I didn't know, and I'd been rooting for you.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's what actually did it too.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
If only it were that easy, though, right? It was funny too, because we were actually at the time we had Connor Bishop over from FanVice, and he was sweating it out with us, and he had a lot of fun with him. But it was funny because at the time we were just talking about jinxes, and like Fuego was like, "Nah, we don't believe in it." And the next thing you know, he had us sold, and we're all like, "Yeah, man, forget about it. Valencia sucks. Like, he's got this." And then sure enough, about 5 minutes later, man, he ruined the night. Literally ruined the night. So that was interesting.
Flare up the middle.
I still blame Seager because he could have got out right before him and he would have never come up.
Good point. Certainly is a good point. That is. All right, guys. So I think we got not too big of a slate for a Monday, which is awesome. But we do have some interesting spots. So you guys ready to talk some DFS?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
All right, gentlemen. We got Luis Severino of the New York Yankees, the red hot New York Yankees, visiting. I'm sorry. This is
wrong day.
This is the wrong day here.
Tonight.
Yeah, that was tonight, and I think Lester actually had a decent game though. Didn't he?
They both were great.
They both had good games, right?
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. Now we got to pull. Now we're working here. Not on my A game, as you can see, but we're gonna get there. So we got Gio Gonzalez, the lefty from the Washington Nationals, visiting Kevin Gausman, a.k.a. Kevin Gascan, of the Baltimore Orioles, Fuego's Baltimore Orioles. Go ahead, Matt. What you got for us?
Well, I think Gio Gonzalez is a little interesting here, just because we know Baltimore struggles against lefties a little more than righties for some reason. But I don't think I'm going to use him here. I think Baltimore's kind of getting it going a little bit, and Gio, walks too many people for me. And I was looking at his stats before the show, and I just think he has a bit of regression coming. He has a really high left on base, 92% left on base so far this season. He's walking 11% of batters. So I don't think I'm excited about Gio, but I think he's good enough to where I don't really want a Baltimore stack. And then on the other side, I really have a ton of interest in the Washington stack, going into the American League, gaining a DH, and Gausman is really bad. I do want to see the Washington lineup because today it was really watered down. No Zimmerman, no Harper. So as long as it's the good lineup, which I think it will be tomorrow, I have a ton of interest in Washington.
Interesting. Go ahead, Fuego. What you got for us?
I have interest in both teams because, as Matt said, I think the Orioles are starting to pick it up a little bit. And we know that they traditionally recently have not been good against lefties, but I think they've done well the last time or two out, maybe.
They should be good against lefties.
Well, and that's the thing. They should be. But Gio has been pitching well. 36, 39, 44 FanDuel points his last three, 26, 46. I mean, 43. He's had a lot of good games this year. And if you are on the fact that the Orioles don't hit lefties well, I could see throwing Gio out there. I would not throw Gossman out there, no way, at this point, the way he's pitching. And I agree, I would stack up the Nats for sure. But I think the implied run total for each team, 4.6 for the Nats and 4.5 for Baltimore. So they're right there. So outside of Coors, this is almost the two highest scoring teams besides the Yankees. So I would stack up both sides.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you guys. I love the bats here. I'm not so big on Gio in general, and Matt, you came up with some great points as far as expected regression coming, and I'm with you on them 100%. I like the Baltimore bats here. They kind of got this stigma this year of not hitting lefties, and it's been true. They've struggled against lefties for sure. But we saw today they hit Quintana a little bit, and he's one of the better lefties.
They were so lucky. They were so lucky. I had a ton of Quintana, and they were just blooping him left and right. I was not.
You got Babbitt? Is that what happened?
Yeah, you got Babbitt big time. And I do want to point out too, like if Scope is in there, I would have a lot more interest in Baltimore.
Right.
And then with Wellington Castillo out too, that's a big hit against
man.
Mancini's good. Obviously, Machado's good, and Trumbo's good, and Adam Jones is good, and JJ Hardy's fine. But I just think Gio's a little bit too good. Like if they beat him up, it's just going to be like walk, bloop, walk, bloop. Like kind of today, like the Orioles scored, but it wasn't good for fantasy.
Right. No, you are correct because you know what? I had some Orioles as a hedge stack again. I had a lot of Quintana, so I stacked some Orioles as a hedge, and it really wasn't worth it because he got blown up and the Orioles didn't score that much. So it was kind of like the worst case scenario. But you know what? I'm willing to go back to the well. I really am. It's a nice day too. So I'm not big on Gio. That's the bottom line. I've been watching him pitch for a little while. Pitch against my Mets a lot, and I'm not sold that he's all that good. I don't think he's terrible, but I'm not sold he's all that good. And I am sold that eventually this Baltimore team is really going to wake up and start hitting.
The one bat I definitely would go to, the guy who does hit lefties the best on the team, is Manny. Manny is heating up. So I would definitely go to Machado.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think that's a great call. Especially in cash, a lefty-righty platoon split in a hitter's park. I could see that being the case. Of course, we have a core slate, so we have to get to that point too. You guys ready to move on to the next game?
Let's do it.
All right, we got Trevor Bauer of the Cleveland Indians visiting Marcus Stroman of the Toronto Blue Jays. Go ahead, Matt.
All right, let me click over to this game real quick. I'm enjoying getting in the chat. I love the chat.
We love these live shows, man. The chat is always fun.
Yeah, it can be distracting.
A little bit.
Yeah. On to this game, what we're here to talk about. I usually like Stroman a lot, but not against Cleveland for me. They're too good, even though they've let me down the last few days. But I don't think Stroman has the K upside in this matchup to interest me. I do have a little bit of interest on Bauer on the other side because Toronto stinks. One, they're really right-handed. I think Bauer can strike him out. He has a decent strikeout rate. If he can somehow avoid not walking everybody, I think he's a decent play. It's definitely a GPP play only, but I do have some interest there. And then on the bats, I'm not really on the bats here because Stroman's just a little bit too good, I think, for Cleveland to get to him. And then Toronto's just too bad to get to anybody.
Fair enough. Go ahead, Fuego. What you got for us?
I don't like Bauer at his price, to be honest with you, at least on FanDuel. I don't know about DraftKings. I haven't looked at that price. There's some.
7,900.
Okay. Yeah. So he's 88 on FanDuel. And there's guys below I like better. So, and with only one pitcher, I don't think I'm going to Bauer. And I agree with what you said about Stroman. Normally, yes, but I don't think it's a good matchup either against Cleveland. And his K per 9 is like one of the lowest, on the slate. Cleveland has burned me recently, but I always seem to play Cleveland. But these don't have the highest run totals, 4.2 and 4.4. And we have Colorado on the slate, and we just talked about a game that I think I like better. So I'm not in love with this game.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think the pitchers on both sides are interesting, but I'm not dying to play them. Matt, you made a great point about DraftKings. Because of the fact that you have to play two pitchers, also because of the fact that he is significantly cheaper on DraftKings. So if I can get Bauer at that price and be able to afford the bats I want, then yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. But like Fuego said, as far as FanDuel goes, you get one pitcher and he's 8.8. I think that's a little too high against an offense that, even though they are terrible this year, they still have guys that can kind of wake up at any minute. Like Batista, for instance. Pierce has been starting to swing the bat better. If he even plays. Typically he plays against lefties. So yeah, honestly, I'm not big on the game overall. But I will say, if I were to play on DraftKings, I would have to heavily consider Bauer for sure at that price when you have to pick two pitchers. So I think you both made interesting points regarding each site separately for sure. You guys want to move on?
Let's move on.
All right, we got Nate Karns coming off a pretty good game of the Kansas City Royals visiting Blake Snell, the lefty from the Tampa Bay Rays. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, it's interesting because Fuego said there's cheaper pitchers that he likes better, and there are cheaper pitchers that I like better too, and two of them are in this game. But there is a Coors Field game, and the Nationals are really expensive, so I think there's going to be a lot of pitchers in this price range that I use, and I think both of these guys are viable. I'm just going to pitch pitchers against Kansas City just all the time. I just think their offense is terrible, and Blake Snell is a really talented pitcher. And similar to Bauer, if he doesn't just walk him around the diamond, he could put up a big game here. And I think with kind of how bad Kansas City has been, I think he might be just fine here. So I like Snell a lot. And then on the other side, we know that Tampa Bay strikes out a lot. And Karns looks pretty decent so far this season. I mean, I don't think he's a good pitcher overall. And I do have interest in the Tampa Bay bats also because they have a lot of power lefties. But I could see going to Karns here, and then also I do like Tampa Bay on the other side quite a bit.
For sure. Go ahead, Fuego. What you got for us?
Yeah, so Karns is the number one pitcher in my model, believe it or not, which is interesting. I tend to have been believing my models on Fantasy Labs because they seem to have been working, but I don't. So yeah, let's fire them up at only 7,000 on FanDuel. You can get Colorado bats in if you're only paying $7,000 for your pitcher. And the pitching slate is not. It's another one of those ones that we've got that's just. I don't know. I don't know if we're off on pitching days, or we're getting. They need to line up their pitchers better because we seem to get a whole bunch of good ones on one day and then a whole bunch of bad ones on the next.
Yeah.
Fix the pitching for DFS. Come on, baseball.
DFS.
Right.
Understand what's important, all right? What's important is DFS and baseball. That's what's going to keep you going. So adjust to us.
You know what? In some ways, it's true. Like, I was talking to my buddy the other day, and we were watching the Tampa Bay-Toronto day game, and I was like, nobody is watching this game that doesn't have action on this game. Right. I mean, nobody.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Why would you care? Do you see, two smaller market? I'm not calling Toronto necessarily a smaller market, but when you have two smaller market teams, it's like, yeah. I mean, if you don't have, some kind of monetary interest in the game, then what do you care?
Yeah.
I thought I saw something, and I mean, don't quote me on this, but it was golf related and how the ratings for golf on like either the Golf Channel or one of these afternoon showings of golf, it just skyrocketed since DFS or something.
I could totally believe it. 100%.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Blake Snell in this spot? The Royals have been pretty bad. They've been pretty bad, and their best hitters are other than outside of Kane and Perez. I shouldn't say. I guess two of their better hitters, Moustakas and supposedly Hosmer, supposedly.
And Gordon, and then Brandon Moss has power.
Right. So in a matchup against a lefty, Blake Snell, what do you think about Snell?
I said I like Snell a lot here. Like I said, if he can avoid the walks, he'll do great. He has, he's really good at limiting hard contact. His strikeout rate is pretty good. If, that's the big fear with him. It's just like, it doesn't matter who's in the batter's box if he can't throw strikes. But maybe if he's not afraid of, Kansas City, which he shouldn't be, then maybe he'll have better control. But I could see him having a big game here for sure, and I'm definitely going to have exposure.
Yeah. What about you, Fuego? You like him?
Not as much on FanDuel, that's for sure.
Right.
We only got one pitcher, and
right.
If you like Karns for 7,000, you're not going to play Snell. And I'm not as. I think I like Karns better. Let's put it that way.
I can understand that. He definitely has the better matchup on paper. However, the Royals are striking out at a higher clip than we've seen over the last couple of years from them. And they have a very low Vegas run total, which, Fuego, I know that you're pretty big on not the totals of the game, but the team's implied Vegas total. I know that you're typically pretty big on that. And the Royals have a pretty low run total. So I think Snell, he is interesting. I don't know. I think I might like him as much as I like Karns, just not a little bit more with the factor that he's home.
A lot of interest in both pitchers for me.
Yeah, I think it's interesting for sure. You have to have a reason to go there. Do you want the Coors bats or the expensive bats? If you don't, then yeah, there's other pitchers you can go elsewhere. But if that's what you want, it's something to consider. You guys gonna move on?
Yes.
All right, we got Masahiro Tanaka of the New York Yankees, the red hot New York Yankees. What I said on the wrong slate before. Visiting the Rookie Davis of the Cincinnati Reds. Go ahead, Matt.
I love the Yankees bats here. Rookie Davis is really bad. The Yankees, I'm going to keep saying it on the show. I think the Yankees are for real. We never got that bet down, Chris, on the Yankees over or under 88.5 wins.
That's true.
I need to get that bet down before they do so well that you won't take it anymore. But anyways, I have a lot of interest in the Yankees bats here. We know that Cincinnati's a great park for hitting. It looks like the wind will be blowing out a little bit there. So I do have a lot of interest in the bats. No interest in rookie, obviously. I don't really like Tanaka that much today either because there's other pitchers I like better. Combined with, Cincinnati's a pretty good hitting team that doesn't strike out very much. And like I said, the ballpark is good for hitters. So I don't think I have any interest in Tanaka.
Sure. Go ahead, Fuego. What you got for us?
Do you know where Judge batted tonight by any chance?
I think 5th, but I'll look right now.
Yeah, because they have him projected 7th tomorrow, which is they got to keep him up higher in that order. They need to keep him protected. But once again, Yankee bats. As much as I hate them in real life, I love them in DFS.
Yeah, 5th.
He batted 5th. Yeah, they need to keep him in that top 6. I prefer top 5 to give them more protection. But Brett Gardner, he's been smashing the ball the past just over the week. But maybe he's had a 44, a 50 on FanDuel, and a bunch of double-digit points. All the Yankees have been treating me very well this year. Matt Holliday, Headley, and
Starling
this is. Say again?
I said Starling Castro, Brett Gardner.
Yeah. I mean, you can list it exactly, and considering that it's a 5 implied run total for the Yankees, the Rockies are only at 5.1, and really that much lower. There's a better pitcher they're facing, obviously, in Colorado, but stack up the Yankees, stack them left, stack them right, stack them up, and get contrarian elsewhere if you think they're going to be popular, even though with Coors on the slate, they won't be like super popular.
I'm like, listen, I'm with you guys on the Yankees. I do like the Yankees, but I kind of also like the Reds here. Like we just mentioned, the Yankees are the ones traveling here. Tanaka hasn't looked all that sharp. Despite having a great spring, he has not looked that sharp in the regular season. And the Reds right now, they're pretty hot. And nobody's really talking about them, but they're swinging the bats pretty good. And we got, Votto's in a pretty good spot
Yeah.
against Tanaka. Duval he hits righties pretty well considering. Cozart, he's going to get going. Last year he had a great year. Eventually he's going to get going. So, yeah, I'm with you guys on the Yankees, but I think I have a lot of interest in the Reds here as well. What do you guys think about that?
I agree. I agree. You know, Hamilton, geez, did you see the other day he got a double on what should have been a single or
Oh,
something? It was the
he's been
fastest.
unreal.
Yeah, it was the fastest recorded time from first to second or something crazy like that. I mean from home to second. Yeah, so Hamilton is definitely in play right now. And Votto, all of them. I played this guy Kevlahan the other day.
Yes.
And it was the day. It was the day he went 4 for 5 with a home run
Yeah.
and 30 FanDuel.
I had him too. It was awesome. Minimum price on FanDuel. Yes, sir.
Right, exactly. So, but I would fire definitely all the lefties up, no doubt, against Tanaka.
You got to add anything, Matt, or should we move on?
I mean, I don't think I'm going to go to the Reds just because I think Tanaka's too good. I think the Yankees bullpen is too good. I mean, like you said, Tanaka hasn't been as good as he's been in the past. But for me, it's just going to be, would I rather stack the Yankees or the Reds? Would I rather do the Nationals or the Reds? Would I rather do the Dodgers, who we're going to get to later? Would I rather do Coors Field? So for me, they're just probably just going to be too far down the list. But you will get them at lower ownership, and the ballpark is great.
Right. No, that's a good point. Now, keep in mind one thing that you mentioned, Matt. Here we're talking, and there's some great conversation for those of you that aren't listening live. I hope you do join us when we do these live shows, because we got some great conversations in the chat. And right now, these guys are talking about the fact that the Yankees are still playing. It's 12:05 on the East Coast. The Yankees are still playing, and so are the Cubs. And these teams have to, and they're both traveling tomorrow. Now, granted, the Cubs have a much further trip ahead of them. The Yankees trip isn't going to be that far. You're going from Chicago to Ohio. But still, if you think of the fact that they're not getting all the rest that they would typically get. So it's something to consider, and they have been on, I believe they've been on the road for a little while, correct?
They've been in Chicago for a little while. Where were they before that?
Right, yeah.
I think they were home for Toronto.
They were home for Toronto. So it's something interesting to consider, but I definitely do, that's the only factor that has me leaning a little bit towards the Reds. But you got to respect the Yankees, man. They've been red hot. You got to respect. All right, we got Matt Moore, the lefty from the San Francisco Giants, visiting my boys, Jacob deGrom and the New York Mets. Go ahead, Matt. What are we doing here?
So your boy Matt Harvey borrowed my wife's toy yesterday, or what? What was the deal with him?
Oh my God! Oh man! I don't know. I've heard as a Met fan who's living in the Northeast area, man. I've heard so many Harvey jokes and it's crazy how creative people are. I'm hearing it's not even getting old. What can I say, man? Like I had one. I think my brother was like, Harvey learned a new pitch or something like that.
But is that a real thing? Did he really get suspended for that? Was that the reason?
I'm pretty sure.
Who knows?
I'm pretty sure it was something, because all they said was it was something against policy. They wouldn't say what it was, but I'm almost positive that's what it was.
Get out of here! You're not the Yankees. You're the Mets. You're Darryl Strawberry's and Doc Gooden's team. You know what I mean?
When I first heard he got suspended, my first thought was how long? Because if he came up hot for PEDs and he's been this bad, that is horrible. So when I found that it was only 3 games, I was like, okay, it's not PEDs. So it's like,
maybe he needed a few extra days off, so they were just like, this is a good excuse.
That's very true. He's been getting rocked. But go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
Yeah, but anyway, sorry. DeGrom's my favorite pitcher on the slate. The Giants have just been awful, and I don't think that they're good enough to beat up DeGrom at all. I expect DeGrom to have a good game. I think he has the strikeout stuff, even though the Giants don't strike out very much. I think he has the stuff to strike them out. So he's my favorite pitcher on the day. I think Matt Moore is interesting, just because the Mets are so left-handed, and Citi Field is good for pitchers. So I do have some interest in Matt Moore, but his control issues again just make me really worry. I mean, 5 walks, 3 walks, 3 walks. He got beat up by the Dodgers in his last start, who we know also struggle against lefties. So probably not Matt Moore for me, but maybe. On the other side, I definitely don't have any interest in the Giants. And on this slate, I don't think I have much interest in the Mets either.
Yeah. Go ahead, Fuego. What you got?
But no Mets love. You don't like Moore, but you don't like the Mets.
Well, that's why I said it's kind of like the same thing.
Right. I hear you. Sorry. Yeah, we run into this. I think I'm a little higher on the Mets bats though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I maybe it's just the Mets thing because I like the Mets, but wow, they have Flores projected to bat fourth at 2,300 on FanDuel. That's interesting.
And he kills lefties.
Yeah, he does. He's got a huge WOBA difference and ISO difference on the slate. Absolutely. TJ Rivera, who I recommended today, didn't do anything, I don't think, but they got him projected at second. So yeah, I probably have a little more, love for the Mets. They have a 4.2 implied run total, which is it's above 4 at least. It's nothing
Way to
great.
be positive, Fuego. I like it. It's above 4.
The Giants at 3.3, no interest in them. And DeGrom, I'm always interested in stud pitchers on FanDuel.
Yeah, I'm definitely into DeGrom. I know he's coming off a rough game, and it was a rough game. Before that game, his swinging strike percentage for 2017 was like 17%, which is absurd. And currently after that game, which he didn't really, he didn't do very well. He didn't get a lot of strikeouts. It was 15. It's currently 15.6%, so it's still high. However, one thing I did mention on the pod that concerned me about DeGrom before his last outing was his BABIP and his left on base. They were a little leaning towards the luck side, and you kind of saw some of that come out a little bit. And hopefully he got some of that out of his system. But yeah, as far as I'm not interested in the Giants, but I just don't want to attack DeGrom. I never do. And as far as the Mets bats, I'm not huge on the Mets. However, pretty much the only lefty killer on the team, Wilmer Flores. As Drupal Cabrera's hurt, so Flores is going to get a lot of PT. So he's cheap, so I'm all over Wilmer. I have a lot of Wilmer, but he's the only Met that I'm super interested in. So I don't know if I think I might be closer to Matt, where I'm not crazy about the Mets here as a stack, but I'm definitely going to have me some Wilmer, man. I think we'll all have some Wilmer, is there?
Oh yeah. We'll have Wilmer. I mean,
Yeah,
I might have like Juan Lagares is super cheap. I might have him as off.
Just to give you guys an idea, before that last game when DeGrom got shelled a little bit, his BABIP was like in the low 2s. It's currently 349. So that's an example of the regression and the predictive stats that we talk about, like BABIP and left line. And there's so many other things that are predictive that we don't even discuss that we'll get into at some point. But it's something to keep in mind. Those numbers, that left on base percentage was like 89 or something crazy. It's now 78.8. So there you go. It doesn't take much, but eventually those numbers are going to come back to the average for sure. Anyway, you guys want to move on to the next game?
Yeah,
sure.
Okay, let's see here. Oop. I think I just lost the games here. There we go. Found him. All right, we got Carlos Martinez of the St. Louis Cardinals visiting Adam Connolly, the lefty from the Miami Marlins. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, this game is very interesting all the way around. It's hard not to have interest in Carlos Martinez just because he can have a game where he has 11 strikeouts and put up a huge fantasy game. So I do have some interest there, and the Marlins strike out a fair bit, and it's a good ballpark for pitching. So I think I like Carlos Martinez a decent bit. I don't like him as much as DeGrom, but I do have interest. I can't decide on the other side whether or not Adam Conley is decent or not. I used to think he was, but I kind of don't think he is anymore. So against the St. Louis team that's pretty right-handed, I don't have any interest in Conley. And I think I have a little interest in the Cardinals.
Okay. Go ahead, Fuego. What you got for
us? The Cardinals have treated me well recently. I like their bats and the righties. Even Carpenter.
You're coming in and out. Can you
lefty matchup. You're going to get. How about now? Is that better?
Yeah. Are you there?
Lefty Matt. matchup, you'll get him a lower ownership.
Ooh, I think the connection with you Fuego is a little rough. We got you
Yeah,
coming in and
he
out.
just said he doesn't mind Matt Carpenter too, even in a lefty-lefty matchup, because you'll get him at lower ownership.
That's a great point for sure.
And he was gonna say he likes all the righties, and the righties have been mashing. You know, Almas Diaz, Jerko, Colton Wong, Yachty.
Can you hear me now? And that's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah. I can hear you now. I'm with you guys. I don't really know what to do with this game. I mean, Miami's coming off of, they just crushed that spot starter in New York today. Stanton had a double dong. But Carlos Martinez is, he's a high strikeout pitcher, but Miami doesn't strike out all that much, but they can against the right pitcher. Meanwhile, the Cardinals just got done mashing it up down in Atlanta. However, we know that that's been a little more of a hitter's park this year, so now they're coming to more of a pitcher's park. So I don't really know. I don't really know what to do in this game, to be honest. But, I mean, the guys you mentioned from the Cardinals for sure. I mean, remember, the Cardinals historically always struggled against lefties, even though they had an all-right-handed team always. But now they got some guys like Gurko, Diaz, Grichuk. They got some guys that were brought here, even Fowler, to help them with the lefties. So yeah, I think the Cardinals are certainly in play for sure.
Tommy Pham at min price again.
Tommy Pham, yeah, double dong today also, man. Great point. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have much to add from what you guys said. You guys want to move on?
Yeah.
So here's the interesting spot of the night. We've got Jake Arrieta of the Chicago Cubs. He's been struggling this year, and he's 8-3 on FanDuel, visiting Antonio Senzatella of the Colorado Rockies. Go ahead, Matt.
Boy, this game is interesting for a million different reasons. One, it's Coors Field, and Coors Field is always interesting, and any pitcher can get blown up in Coors Field, and it's the Cubs, the defending world champs. And then also there's weather issues here. It looks like maybe 75-ish% chance of rain kind of throughout the game with thunderstorm problems. And, in Colorado, you kind of never know what you're going to get weather-wise. So that makes it interesting also. And then, you got Arrieta, who used to be really, really good. And his strikeout stuff is still there this year, but he's having home run issues. He's walking more people. He's giving up more hard contact. So it feels like a spot where he struggles. I expect the Rockies to kind of do some big things here. And then on the other side, Senzatella is a guy, super high ground ball pitcher, and he's been pretty decent this year, but he doesn't strike people out. I think I would have interest in the Cubs here if it weren't for the fact that this game is still going and it's really late. It's close to midnight. I mean, I don't think they're going to get into Colorado till 5, 6. So,
babies.
Because of that, and there is talk a lot of times that the first game in Coors Field for a visiting team is never as good. It does take them a little while to adapt to the air.
Right.
So kind of all those things, I don't think I'm super high on the Cubs. But it's certainly interesting, and maybe get back at me tomorrow to see where I end up.
You're going to have to check out Matt's stacks over on Daily Roto Sharks. Go ahead, Fuego. What you got for it?
Yeah, well, I mean, Vegas disagrees with the first game theory, at least right now, as they have a 6.1 run implied total, if I see it correctly, which is a full win of the Rockies. I would attack Arrieta with the Cubs bats. We know from last time that I don't like him, and I don't think he's been performing nearly as well as he has ever since mid last year, maybe. He's slipped off. So I would attack him. I'm wondering if the public would have less Rockies bats because they think Arrieta is good. Is that possible?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's certainly merit to
that. I would love for that to be the case. If people are like, oh, I don't want to play Rockies against Arrieta, he's really good or something. Because I don't think he doesn't have the kind of stuff, I think, shut them down.
I'm with you. I completely agree with you, Fuego. I think I like the Rockies bats more than the Cubs. And, look, people love to play the Cubs. Everybody rooted for the Cubs as the big underdogs last year. They won the World Series, and we've seen people kind of always riding the Cubs, and they're going to ride them in Coors. This is like your typical fish stream spot at Coors. The Chicago Cubs are in Coors. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Schwarber, these guys are in Coors. And yeah, I think people are not going to take into consideration the fact that you're right. They're not going to get in there till 3, 4 in the morning, whatever the case is. They're going to be a little, like, they're kind of drag a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it. Meanwhile, the Rockies, man, they've been comfortably sitting back, just kind of chilling and just waiting for them to come in. And yeah, I like the Rockies bats. And we're gonna have to monitor the weather, like Matt said, because last time we saw they had a serious weather issue. We saw everybody just laid off the game, and the whole game went off. So something to consider. But yeah, I'm with you, Fuego. I think I'm bigger on, and Matt, you as well. I'm bigger on the Rockies side for sure.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right, we got.
I mean, can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's still cutting in and out.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, I will just add that I would not be worried about Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant in Colorado, that's like a dream matchup. So if he's tired, I would fire him up if I have the money left over to pay for him.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, I mean, listen, Rizzo and Brian are good. So that's the bottom. They're good at baseball. So I certainly see the merit there. We got Ricky Nolasco of the Los Angeles Angels.
Of Anaheim.
All right, there it is. Visiting Kendall Graveman of the Oakland Athletics. The fastball heavy Kendall Graveman. Go ahead, Matt. What you got for us?
I tell you what, this is a pretty interesting spot for Kendall Graveman. We know the Angels stink. They are very right-handed. There's a very good chance Mike Trout's not going to play because he's been out a few days with some hamstring tightness. So if that's the case, if Trout is out, I actually like Graveman quite a bit here at his price, $6,500 on DraftKings. And that would give you access to cores or whatever you wanted. He's already faced the Angels twice this year, and he's pitched decent in both starts. Definitely good enough to pay off this price tag. On the other side, I don't have any interest in Nolasco. He just doesn't have the K upside. And, Oakland has been pretty sneaky good the last week. And they've been scoring a decent amount of runs. I'm not going to stack them up just because I hate this ballpark so much. And I don't think they can get me what I need on this slate. But as I always say, Chris Davis is a one-off. Ryan Healy's been good. Stephen Vogt as a really cheap catcher. And then, Yonder Alonso, 2,800 on DraftKings. He has 8 home runs this year, which is, I couldn't believe that. But he's been going on these late slates. I've been riding Oakland because they've been hitting the ball pretty well.
Unbelievable. Go ahead, Fuego.
Yeah, for sure. I think was it yesterday they had one of the highest run totals on the slate. I'm like, really, Oakland? So they've been playing really well. But tomorrow, I'm not sure I'm going to fire them up with 4.2 implied run total. We maybe got 7, 8 teams higher than that. And not too much interest in the Angels. And do have interest in Cahill. And that's not much. I'm not loving much else in this game on either side.
Yeah, Matt, Matt, I appreciate your honesty, but you got to be the worst Angels fan I ever met. You're just like every day. It's like take the pitcher against the Angels. It's like
Hey, you know what? I'm here to give honest analysis, and I'm going to play Graveman tomorrow. And no one knows their team like the fan of that team.
That is true.
You know what I mean?
I give you props, man.
I'll tell you,
100%.
I'll tell you that the Angels are bad, and I'll tell you that my Lakers are bad, and they've been the worst run organization, in basketball in the last 5 years. I mean, the truth is the truth,
For sure. I think one thing that's interesting that I will say here, we talked a little bit about Yonder Alonso before the show, Matt, and you had mentioned a little bit about how some of these hitters have finally realized something that you mentioned the golf industry realized a long time ago. And that is, swinging up at pitches. Well, why don't you explain a little bit of why you think Alonso, and he's just one example of a player that seems to be utilizing this new thing. Why don't you explain a little bit about why, just briefly, just touch on it. Why is Alonso doing so much better, you think?
I mean, I don't know Alonso in particular, but I know a lot of these guys around the league that have all of a sudden gotten really good that were never that good. Ryan Zimmerman, Elvis Andrus in Texas, Justin Turner. Guys that were just kind of, punch and Judy hitters, 8 home runs a year type guy, and all of a sudden they're hitting 30 home runs, and people are like, what is going on? Anyways, they have this new technology called TrackMan, and it kind of gives you a lot of information. And what they've learned is, when you hit down on the baseball and it gives more backspin, they used to say, oh, this is what makes the ball go up in the air. It's what makes the ball go far. And in reality, it's actually the exact opposite. When you hit up on the baseball, you launch it higher and you spin it less, it goes farther. And so a lot of these guys have taken this new technology and it's really changed their career because they figured, hey, I hit up on the ball, it goes farther, it goes over the fence. And all of a sudden they're hitting 30 home runs.
Certainly interesting. I appreciate that.
That's good stuff, man.
Yeah, it's good to know, and it's definitely something to consider going forward. We got Nick Martinez of the Texas Rangers visiting. Here's a guy that I keep seeing his name in our chat here against Trevor Cahill of the San Diego Padres. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, well, quickly, one more thing on the TrackMan. If we have any golfers out there, it's a really important thing. When you're getting fit for golf clubs on a total just side tangent. You need to get fit for golf clubs because they'll get your spin, your launch angles, and your spin rates right, so you can make sure you're in the right driver, and you might pick up 15 yards on your drives.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyways, yeah, I love Trevor Cahill tomorrow. I believe his stuff is real. I believe this resurgence is real, and maybe he didn't learn about launch angles and spin rates, but maybe he's just on the juice, like Wiley Peralta. But anyways. His strikeout rate is real. The Rangers strike out a lot. They've been striking out a lot. We know Petco is one of the best parks in the league. The marine layer should be in full effect. So I love Cahill. On the other side, I want to like Nick Martinez just because of like all those other things I just said. And San Diego strikes out a lot also, but I just don't think I can get there.
I completely understand that. Go ahead, Fuego.
Yeah, Cahill, second highest K per 9 innings on the slate. I think we played him. He was the last 2 times ago we did a pod and we played him and he did well. So I like him. But I have a feeling I'm going to hedge a little with some Texas bats, and I don't know. I may do a little hedging with some Texas bats. The run totals aren't out yet, I don't think, for this game.
Correct.
So we won't know. We need to see what that is and when lineups are put out, et cetera, et cetera. But definitely, on DraftKings for sure, I'm playing Cahill probably.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where I always have certain players that I just don't like, and Cahill's one of them. You hear me say, I feel like you hear me say it all the time, especially you, Matt. I'm always like, I don't like that guy. I just don't like that guy. But, it doesn't mean I won't play them. It just means I don't like them, and it makes me uncomfortable when I have to play them. And Cahill's one of those guys. I know the park is a good setup, and as of right now, with 11-mile-an-hour winds projected to be blowing in from left, it does seem like an ideal spot. And
what's that?
What
don't you like about 10.8 Ks per 9 innings?
He doesn't believe in him. He doesn't think it's real.
Correct.
Because he's been terrible his whole career. So he's like, why all of a sudden?
His whole career he's been terrible. Now, granted, he spent a lot of those years in Arizona, where I'm sure that skewed his numbers, but his strikeouts were never really that high.
Are they teaching reverse spin technology to pitchers?
That's what I say. He's just on the juice. He's just on the juice, man. He's just got the needle going.
Hey.
But with that said, I'd have to agree with you guys. I think he's certainly in play. I don't think he's a guy that I'm going to have super high exposure to, but he's definitely somebody you have to throw out there. And on DraftKings, it makes a ton of sense when you consider the fact that you have to play 2 pitchers. So yeah, this is a good ballpark for him. This Texas team, as you mentioned, Matt, this season they've been striking out more than they typically did last year. So yeah, I think Cahill's certainly in play, even though I'm not a fan. And like, it takes me a while to believe in a guy, and I get burned that way a lot. But hey, man, the bottom line is when I play DFS, I try to play more by the numbers and less by my personal feelings on a player. So yeah, Cahill's gonna make some of my lineups. As far as Martinez, man, I don't care if this is Petco Park. That dude's terrible. So I don't mind taking some of these Padres. I don't know if I would say like a full stack, but I think that a small stack. I just read something in the chat from DFS Syracuse here saying Cahill is going to be a great fake because he's going to be high on. You could be onto something there. I wouldn't be surprised to see him high on because of these smaller tier guys, he's the one that's had the most success. Lower tier, not smaller tier. What do you guys think about that?
He's definitely going to be high on. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he's number one on my model. I have to get with Fuego to see how his and mine are different, but Cahill's number one and Karns is number two on mine.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Mine goes Karns 1, Cahill 3.
So then tell me right now, what do you guys prefer? Would you prefer Cahill or would you prefer Karns?
I mean, I prefer Cahill if ownership wasn't a thing.
Okay.
Just because I it's hard for me to say I believe in.
Do you use ownership percentage in your model?
I do not use ownership percentage
in
my model. I
do. I wonder if that's the difference.
Yeah. No, it could be. But they don't.
I don't know if they have projected ownership out yet.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they don't have that this early.
Yeah. Everything you're saying making sense. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. I don't know what I was gonna say now. I guess I believe in Cahill more than Karns, I guess is the short answer.
I could understand that. It's interesting. It's an interesting thought because he's got a good matchup against a team that strikes out a ton. But I guess at this point in the year, apparently the Rangers do too. So yeah, I certainly see the merit for sure. Fuego, you have anything to add, or should we move
on? Well, definitely the home runs per 9 doesn't Karns give up much more than Cahill, right? I think so, or at least
this year.
1.2. Yeah, so I mean, this is not the best pitching slate, as we said before. Like, there's not even like 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that are, usually we have a couple. Nobody, like when we're arguing over Cahill or Karns as our number one.
Right?
Hey, I mean, obviously, I'd much rather play DeGrom or Carlos Martinez, but I mean, if we're being honest, I'm probably going to stack up a really expensive offense, and I'm just not going to be able to get there in every lineup. So I'm going to have to make these Cahill or Karns decisions.
For sure.
Right.
And I do want to mention also
because when you do 150 lineups, just do each.
I will, but I don't want to say that on the show. I want people to think that I'm actually fighting over this decision when I'm really not. I'm just. Hey, we're going to do, 33% Karns, 33% Cahill, 33% Martinez, 33% Snell. But, hey, no one wants to know that. They want me to sit here and take a stance.
They want you to take a
stance. That's right. They want your hard-hitting opinion. That's true.
They want you to take a stance. And if you're right, they're going to ignore you. And if you're wrong, they're going to troll you until the next podcast.
Yes.
Well, I say Karns. He says Cahill, so we hope nobody.
Yeah. Right.
All right, guys. Go ahead.
Our boy Harry Potter in the chat wants us to talk about Ryan Schimpf, who I think is a totally great play tomorrow. And he has plenty of power to hit it out of Petco even when it's cold.
He's been waking up.
Yes, he has. Yeah.
All right, we got one more game to discuss. And if there's any questions over in the chat, go ahead and fire away, and we'll try to answer a few before we get out of here. But we got Trevor Williams of the Pittsburgh Pirates visiting Matt's Los Angeles Dodgers. They're sending out Alex Wood, the southpaw. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, it's funny. I have Brandon McCarthy on mine for tomorrow.
Oh, they got rained out, didn't they?
Yeah, they got rained out today, and maybe this is why San Diego doesn't have a total either, because they're like, well, they got rained out today. Maybe they're going to skip Cahill. They probably won't. That's
a good point.
Anyways, yeah, be on the lookout tomorrow if it's going to be McCarthy or if it's going to be Alex Wood. If it is McCarthy, I do have interest just because I don't think Pittsburgh is very good, and I think he's good enough to roll out there. So I would have interest in McCarthy, and Wood's been pretty good too. So I would have interest in both of them. We know, and we always talk about these guys, McCarthy and Wood and Maeda and Urias. The Dodgers just don't let them go very deep, and they all have kind of a shortish leash. So that of course worries you, and it kind of takes away a little bit of the upside. But on this slate where it's a little bit tough, I wouldn't mind McCarthy still. On the other side, Trevor Williams, it looks like he's getting a spot start here. So I wouldn't expect him to go very deep. And also, he's not very good, or else he wouldn't be in the bullpen. And we know the Dodgers hit righties well. So I do have a decent amount of interest in the Dodgers here. And, I really, really, really love this kid, Bellinger, that they called up. He made me a lot of money a couple nights ago. And then Jock Peterson is back in the lineup. And, of course, we love Corey Seager, and we love Grandal against righties, and we know Justin Turner's reverse splits. So I really like the Dodgers here. And they're cheap, so you wouldn't have to decide if you like Cahill or not. You could just play DeGrom.
For sure. Go ahead, Fuego. What you got here?
Yeah, I agree. Bellinger has just been. Ooh, I went. I usually don't go to bed before my final tally of the night, up or down,
You mean
and
you
I
don't
was
usually go
tired.
to
And I
bed
went,
ever?
well, that too, but uh, so I woke up and it was like a $500 home run. He must have, because I had him in so many lineups, and he hit that second home run really
That
late.
was huge. That was huge.
Yeah, yeah. So all my lineup, I ended up catching, and it was huge. So I like him a lot. I like some of the other Dodgers guys as well. And yeah, I wouldn't even. Normally, I love cheap pitchers, but I'm not going this cheap. Yeah, yeah. Like you said, he's in the bullpen for a reason. Um, Unlike our little play today, that pitcher for Toronto. But yeah, I want to see the high run total. I want to see who's officially pitching. But my model likes Alex Wood if he's pitching against Pittsburgh. Do you like him at all?
Yeah, that's why I said no matter if it's Wood or if it's McCarthy,
Oh, because of the inning thing.
Yeah, but I still have interest
Yeah.
because I think they're safe and they both have decent upside. And I think from this price range, you won't need a huge game.
I mean, Wood's averaging 11.5K per 9 innings.
The problem is what's the most he's pitched?
Right, 5
innings is as far as he goes.
Right. That's the problem. And you need to talk to those Dodger people and tell them to let their pitchers go a little longer, please.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I'm not crazy about the Pirates. Like you said, the Pirates they've been swinging the bats fairly well recently. However, Matt, one point you usually always make on the pod, and you may have made it. I might have been distracted by this chat. But the Dodgers bullpen. Yeah, okay. It's something that I got from you that I didn't even realize, and I looked into it after you mentioned it. But yeah, they have one of the best, if not the best, them and the Yankees anyway, best bullpens in the league. So I don't typically like to target against them too much unless they have a real gas can going, and Alex Wood is not exactly one of those guys. Fuego, to answer your question, and to parlay your question into a question for Matt. Matt, are we concerned here about the pitch count? We know that the coach over there had said he doesn't. You could expect about 80 pitches from his starters going forward. Is Alex Wood in that category?
No, I mean I would expect him to get 90 to mid 90s. But we saw against the Giants a couple weeks ago, he had a one hitter into the sixth, and they pulled him.
Right. So,
I mean?
that's something that it does concern me a bit.
Yeah, no, that's what I always say. Like, I don't think I'm going to play either of these pitchers just because I roll out so many lineups that I don't need the safety that they bring.
Right.
I'm fine with gambling on Blake Snell or Karns or Cahill, or Gout or Graveman, excuse me. So I'm going to stay away from those guys because I don't think they have the upside of these other guys. But, they're fine, and I think they're safe because the matchup is good, and I think they're talented.
For sure. No, I think it's a very good point. You answered my question. Now, I will say I think the Dodgers bats are obviously in play. It's not the best park, but it's the Dodgers home park. So if anybody can play there, it's the Dodgers. And like you guys both said, man, guys like Bellinger and really they've been hot, man, and I don't see it stopping against Trevor Williams. So yeah, I think the Dodgers are a good stack, and they're never that popular because people are impatient and they don't like to wait until the end to play a stack like that in the main slate. And also the park's not favorable, and a lot of people put a lot of weight into parks, and like they should, but sometimes I think they overlook teams that are in good spots for even if the park. I mean, even though it's a pitcher's park, there's obviously still home runs. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think you can completely get rid of it. So yeah. So okay, right. That's all the games. So I want to talk. We have a little bit of time here. And I want to ask you guys. So tell me, Matt, let's start with you. What are some of your favorite what do you think? Now obviously we're going to have to check your article tomorrow to see what stacks you end up on. But what are some of the stacks you're thinking about? I know you're a big stack guy.
Well, it really depends on how Coors shakes out. If that game looks like it's going to play, then I have interest in both of those teams. Like I said, I think I like the Rockies more. But if it does play, then it's going to take a little of the ownership off of these other stacks that I really like, the Yankees and the Nationals, and then the Dodgers under the radar for cheap. So those are the stacks I'm looking at, the Coors game, and see what's up with that. But I'm still going to do the Yankees and the Nationals and the Dodgers regardless.
Gotcha. Fuego, what about you? Are there any stacks here that are interesting to you?
Well, before I answer that, I was just looking at some of Bellinger's stats here, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah, like his ISO 0.615. The next best is Judge on the slate at 0.315. Like, that's crazy. But speaking of Judge and the Yankees, I like Judge better if he was batting higher in the order, but you can't not like the Yankees stacked up tomorrow. Because they are not the at cores and they have pretty close, like we said, the same implied run total or almost as the Rockies. I like the Yankee stacks a lot. And I'm going to go back to that very first game we talked about, Washington and Baltimore. I don't mind stacking up either team, either in mini stacks, like 3 on each side or 2 on each side. And so that's what I like.
Yeah, Matt, I thought you hit it right on the head. And Fuego, it sounds to me like you're on the same page. If Coors is going to play without a problem and they're going to be the chalk, then yeah, I think that you guys seem to be on the same page as far as you're going to have way more interest in the Yankees-Reds game, even if it is just one-sided, and also the Baltimore-Nats game if it's one-sided, because those are also situations where we see some offenses in great spots with high implied totals, and they're going to be way lower owned than the Coors game. Now, with that said, if we see some severe weather issues, we might have to get a little risky and play some of those Coors guys, because the last time we were in the situation and the game looked ugly and everybody thought it wasn't going to play, they stayed away. The Coors game went off when it finally went off. So yeah, I think that I think you guys make a great point for sure. So there's a question that we got somebody asked in the chat, and I know Matt answered it in the chat, but I want him to answer it out loud just in case there's other people who are listening that maybe want to pick up on this. So the question is from DFS Syracuse, and he asked here, when you guys stack, do you stay consistent with a 3-4-5 man, or is it slate dependent?
Yeah, for me, I always 5-man stack on DraftKings. You can go up to 5. I always stack 5. I believe in the correlation. I just think it's just super strong. And not only that, it just makes it easier when I'm building lineups. If like this is the way I always do it, it's just easier and faster. And then for me this season, I've actually just gone full stacking. Like I've just gone 5-man stack and then 3 stack in every lineup. So I go to my model, I pick the teams I'm going to stack, and I just put them together 5 and 3, 5 and 3, 5 and 3 until I'm all done. And that's the way I've been doing it. I had good success with it last year, and that's what I've been doing.
Okay. And Fuego, what about you? What's your approach on that?
That's interesting. I tend to tinker around a lot with lineups, and I'll start with 3-man. Like if I'm playing FanDuel, for example, where you can only do 4. I'll start with 3-man and 3-man, and then try to get the 4th. Or it just depends. It depends which hitters I like. I'll find hitters I like, and then kind of work the stacks off there. Or it just depends. So I don't have anything set. DraftKings, you have the more luxury. You have the player positions, and you have the chance to do the full 5 stack. I think when you're doing 4 stack on FanDuel, you're missing something no matter what. Whether you're missing the leadoff, whether you're missing the 5 guy, something. So you have to mix it up more. But I do. If I can get a full 4-man stack on FanDuel, I'll do it.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think that's definitely some interesting advice. So. We're running out of time a little bit here, so before we get out of here, I do want to play. Oh, actually, it looks like we got one question from. I know Fuego. I know this is a buddy of yours, so we're gonna answer the question. What do you guys think about an Indians stack tomorrow? And that's asked by Joseph Baldino over here. I know it's one of Fuego's guys.
Patio Joe.
There you go.
Patio
shout him
Joe.
out, brother. Shout him out, man. A friend of Fuego's is a friend of the podcast. Okay.
We're gonna try to get Patio Joe on the podcast coming up, but. We don't need to answer his question. We can move on.
All right. In that case, it's time for some dong watch, brother.
I'm not. I think we touched on Cleveland a little bit. The 4.2 implied run total is on the lower side, but I do like playing them. Those are some people I like to play in the 3-man stack. the way they've been playing because the whole order hasn't been killing. So I'll play like Ramirez and a couple of guys around him or something like that, or Ed Canarcion, etc.
Okay. What about you, Matt? You got any interest in the Indians?
Not for me tomorrow. I believe Stroman's too good. He keeps the ball on the ground, and the Indians haven't been, super hot lately. So not for me.
I got you. There you go, Joey. Like I said, Friend of Fuego is a friend of the pod. So we got your question answered for you. All right, now it's time for some Dong Watch here. Matt, do me a favor, man. Do you have a pen by you? Because I got a pen and it is out of ink.
I do.
All right, if you could write down the pen.
Pencil. I have a pencil. I will write down the picks.
Well,
yes.
a pencil won't work because I don't.
I can do it too.
Won't change it. I'm just playing. And real quick, Daryl, I see Daryl here in the chat. Daryl says here, as Ben would say, yes, Cleveland stacks. So yes, I'm sure Benjamin. If Benjamin's watching this, whether it's tonight or tomorrow, Ben's gonna be on the Indians. He loves them Indians. So shout out to Benjamin over there. All right, you guys ready for some Dong Watch here?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Who's gonna go first? Either Matt or Fuego. What do you guys
go ahead, Fuego.
All right, there we go.
All right, Cody Bellinger.
Oh, there you go. Go ahead, Matt.
This is a really tough Dong watch tonight.
Yeah.
One, because the Coors game, we're not sure about the weather.
Right.
And then two, the guys I always pick, Mike Trout and Bryce Harper, are both questionable tomorrow.
That is true.
So it just makes it really tough because the top 10 guys I'd want to pick might not play.
Yeah.
You can't play chalk tonight, brother.
I know. I don't like that. I'm just I want to play all the chalk. All right. Now you're really making me dig. Give me Ryan Zimmerman. I think he's going to be in the lineup tomorrow, so I think that's safe.
Okay, for sure.
And he hits up on the ball, so we're ready.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Is he one of those guys you've been talking about?
He is one of those guys. Because Daniel Murphy was one of those guys last year or 2 years ago.
Interesting.
And he got him on it.
That's definitely something to keep in mind. So I get two here because I'm picking last. I'm gonna go with Manny Machado as one of my picks, and I'm gonna go with Joey Votto as my second pick because personally I really like the Reds and Yankees game. I like the games. I like the Reds and Yankees game, and I also like the Baltimore Nats game. I'm gonna go there. Go ahead. I think it's back to you, Matt.
Yeah.
While you're thinking, Ryan Zimmerman has 12 straight games on FanDuel with double-digit fantasy points.
Yeah, it's pretty
good. And most of them are over 20.
Yeah.
30.
He's been a beast, man. He's been a beast. There's no question.
Give me Corey Seager.
Ooh, I like that one. Little hedge against Bellinger there. All right, go ahead, Fuego. You get two picks here.
I'll take Brett Gardner.
Okay.
And I should give me another Nat against Gasky and Gosman. How about Trey Turner?
Okay, I dig it.
Who'd you pick before Turner?
Brett Gardner.
Brett Gardner, that's right. All right, Matt, go ahead and make your last pick.
All right, give me the Judge.
I knew it.
Yeah,
I knew it. I thought Fuego was going to pick him. I was going to
double him up, Gardner and Judge, but I was like, nah.
I thought Fuego was going to pick him, and I was thinking here like, okay, I have a chance. I was like, I have a chance.
I'm going to double him up.
All right. So now that Judge is kind of off the board for me here, I think I'm going to go with Trumbo. I'm going to stick with that Oriole game. I'm not a believer in Gio. I'm a believer in Gio. He's due. He's absolutely due. I'm going to go with Trumbo. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the Sunday live edition of the WiseTake DFS podcast covering Monday's slate. Those of you who are joining us live and we're in the chat, man, appreciate it. We had a blast with you guys. It's always so much more fun to have those guys on board. So we were definitely excited to have that.
Hello.
Going on.
Hello. Can you hear me or no?
Yes. I can hear you.
Something happened.
You're frozen.
Is it all crazy?
Yeah, I can hear you, but you're frozen.
Well, I guess we're glad we're ending the podcast.
Hey, we're ending the pod. No big deal, brother. So, yeah, as always, thank you guys. Thanks for joining, man. We appreciate it. I love having the chat. The chat was live today, man. We're getting more and more people watching these live shows, and it's a blast. And I can tell you right now, I know that Fuego loves it. I know Matt loves it. It's exciting. It's fun. So thank you guys for watching. Do us a favor, help the pod. Click on the link in the description and sign up and get your daily Roto Sharks cheat sheets now. They're definitely a great tool. And yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it. So for Matt, for Fuego, oh, don't forget, check out Matt's stacks on Daily Roto Sharks tomorrow to see what takes he's really on after he does his research. And also look out for Fuego's article. He typically does either value articles, sometimes he does NBA articles. You never know what you're gonna get with Fuego, man. He's the wild card, man. He's the wild card. So anyway, guys, hey, appreciate it. Always a pleasure having you guys on, man. Love doing shows with you guys. You guys are my boys, so it's a lot of fun. Thanks to everybody else. And anyway, as always, what is it? Good luck.
Peace.